Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
I've converted to ductless mini splits, and I have an ERV system that's ventilating into the rooms, so I don't need to do any air return underneath the doors. But I'm concerned a little bit about the zero automatic door bottom, because I'm a light sleeper, so I want to even try to get like a quieter latch, or even like a magnetic latch or something at night, so if someone is in bed and then gets out and goes to the bathroom or whatever, it's not going to wake me up when that door bottom deploys. And I was wondering if you had any other ideas, but also if you happen to know of anybody in the Miami area that would do a high quality job for installing doors if I'm noise conscious and I want to have everything done to good tolerances.
I don't have a suggestion to the latter. In terms of the former, zero is a good option because it is extremely muffled, but they sure all do emit some sound.
Okay. Anything that's not going to be auto bottom that would still have a tight fit? I'm looking at DHSI. I haven't spoken with them yet, but I heard for their seals around the frame of the door, an acoustical guy gave me some guidance on that. A friend of a friend who does like really expensive projects. He told me that he really likes the DHSI for the surrounds. Do you sell DHSI products?
I don't. I think that they just sell their product line directly.
Okay, gotcha. Do you know of any other door bottoms that would be able to muffle noise effectively but don't necessarily need to be auto mechanical? Or do you really need to have that level of tightness to reduce noise from coming through? And I'm not talking about home recording studio or anything, but I'd just like to have effectively the highest STC rating I can. If someone's playing the TV loud out in the living room and I'm trying to sleep, or people are banging around with pots and pans in the kitchen, that kind of thing.
The zero material is industry leading, not only in sound attenuation, but in how reasonably quiet they are.
Okay. And is there anybody anywhere that you're aware of in South Florida that would have one where I could go into a showroom and hear the noise of it clicking?
No. If you were to be in Naples, I could pull one off the shelf and we could emulate that, just depressing the plunger.
Yeah. That's a long haul. I'm talking to you
well,
from both doors.
You said anywhere in Florida, so.
That's fair. I did. Yeah, it's not out of the realm.
You meant within 10 miles of your house. Yeah. I hear you.
Within an hour. I mean, one way would be ideal. And by the way, I'm looking at your website now, and when I clicked on the weather scraping category, I'm using Firefox browser in the latest version of Mac OS. It doesn't show any of the preview pictures. It shows broken links. I just thought you might want to be aware of that.
Yeah, I know that there are some broken images. Thank you.
Okay. So, are there anything besides zero that would be an option without the mechanical actuation that would do good for under a door for sound reduction?
Are you considering an item that doesn't drop?
Well, if that is an unreasonable consideration, then no. But what do you think? Is that even possible without something that drops, or is I worked at a Do It Best hardware store in middle school and up until college for 5 years, and there was one that would have like an air gap underneath, and you would attach it to both sides of the door, and then it could have quite a bit of play in it. So I thought if I had a threshold and something goes over, would that do enough sealing, or without that mechanical drop down, is it really going to let something through? And I'm talking, this is a $10 thing that consumers are walking off the street. If there's a better quality version that you would carry or someone else might have, that was what I had in mind with the question.
No, do you want to add a threshold to the opening?
I could. I just don't want anybody to trip. But if there's something that I could put underneath, one of the rooms has wood floors, the other has terrazzo, and then tile. So there's already some kind of threshold there, but I'm open to that.
You want something that's STC rated or no?
Oh, yes, or effectively, yes, I would like something that's going to be as quiet as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see how leaving the Zero product line gets you a better solution. Whether it be an automatic door bottom or it be something door squeeze that you just slap on the door. Zero is the company that told you to call me, so it's hard for me to, recommend someone else. It just happens to be that serving your best interests overall, Zero has every reasonable option.
No, that's
I wouldn't
fair.
add a threshold.
I'll just say that again about the threshold?
I would not add a threshold. I think that would be unusual in a residential application.
Okay. When you say a threshold, you're talking more of like what I'd see with an exterior door versus there's something there now in each of the doors that connect the separations between the rooms, whether from tile to terrazzo or tile to carpet. That carpet's going to be removed. We're talking about something more like an exterior door when you use the term threshold.
Well, I mentioned threshold because if you want to do something that's not automatic, you'll have to put a sweep on the door. And unless you have a threshold underneath the door, you're going to drag that sweep over the entire open and closing cycle. So the threshold becomes required if you don't do an automatic door bottom. Yeah.
When I was speaking with Dave, he was real forthright, spoke his mind. He said, you can try this company or that. Like, he was just really down to earth and great. He showed me another section of their catalog that had something that was not an auto bottom. I took it down in my notes and I could find it, but he said it just doesn't think it's going to reduce noise as much as the auto door bottom as far as what Zero has. But he was very frank when he said, talk to Rich, and he may know of another one even if it's not from us. But if you're saying that just industry-wide there's really not a great option if it's not auto bottom, I'm fine to give auto bottom a try. If I put one on there and tried it, and then I didn't
you
like
can
the
put
sound,
other stuff. Yeah, you can put other stuff on the bottom of the door, but if you want, you're going to put a sweep or a bottom on there, and that's going to drag. If you want to seal, it'll make contact continually, or you add something so that it only makes contact when the door closes, like a threshold. Or you do an automatic door bottom, but by that point, you've already mortised your door for it. So, the Zero item is really nice because it does muffle, it does a great job at muffling the sound. But, in 30 plus years, I've had two people find the decibel level, unacceptable. And I've thought in my head, I'll be honest, like Dave, and straightforward, these people are nuts because they're literally saying, I don't want the advantage of the automatic door bottom because of that sound. And then there's nothing for you.
Yeah. So, but then what I may try is to put one in on a door where I'm not concerned about that. I've got this middle bedroom where I could mortise the door, put it in, and then just see how that click sounds. I'm convinced I have some mild version of misophonia, they call it, where it's just extra sensitivity to noises. But got sleep apnea and I'm such a light sleeper, so a regular door latch, if somebody opens the door and closes it, as soon as that plunger clicks, I'm wide awake. And that's what I have to be cautious about. And that's through the earplugs. I wear 32 decibel earplugs. And I go so far as the ear doctor for your routine checkups gave me this little lubricant to make the earplugs feel better. And still there's certain frequencies that will just pass right on through, and other stuff's sealed out pretty well. So, well, this is all helpful. But let's back up a minute. There are manufacturers who have latch bolts. Sargent, I believe, does have latch bolts with an inserted piece of nylon that is intended to dampen that sound a little bit. Now, changing out your privacy set may not be what you wanted to do because ultimately, things will make sound, will emit sound.
but that is something that I could help you look into. And as I'm looking at the DHI, I'm familiar with DHSI as other people have mentioned it. I don't necessarily see anything in there absolutely slam dunk that is their product line that will really help. There is a company out of England called, I don't remember their name. I just got an email from them though. Let me look. The only advantage of PDB, Papa Delta Bravo, this fella I've had lots of conversation with, and they do a good job. It's STC 48. He does a good job at the seal is going to be smaller than 0. The downside, though, unless you need a 36-inch version or something close to that, it's got to come from England, so that freight's going to be an issue, at least at this time, because it doesn't have North American distribution, which is, and I'm very familiar with their product line. So I only mention it because it will be physically smaller, and I am impressed with how well they dampen the sound. But again, and I don't actually believe that it's quieter than a 0, but it's very close. And I don't even know what it costs at this point. It's a product that I've got a sample of only. And I mention it because I would like to mortise less of my door rather than more, and it is thinner. The fella who patented this item, he has decades of being an acoustical engineer, and he's developed this product for that purpose. So what I'd like for you to do is send me an email, and I can reply back with a link to his website at least, and get you some more information because, when you said you're not getting a good night's sleep, basically without saying those words, I get that. I mean, I feel you. I'm in my early 50s, and every minute that I can sleep soundly is precious. So
I've got sleep apnea. I have not been able to successfully use a CPAP, and eventually, hopefully within a year, once I moved into this house, I want to get an orthodontic surgery that could help a lot. But my brain goes in and out of with the sleep disordered breathing stuff. My brain goes in and out of those cycles, and at some point it becomes more susceptible. That's the biggest challenge in my office. If I click it closed, I work from home. Then that's not a big deal. I just want it to be quiet. But the click part wouldn't be an issue. What does one of either of these cost from you if I'm buying as a homeowner, or if I had the installer?
The 0 material is going to be in the $100 range, plus or minus 25%. I'd have to look, but we can determine a model once we look at that. But it'll be something in that range. And, I do keep them in stock in 3-foot lengths. Your door is probably going to be narrower than that. You can trim it down a little bit, but you'd have to know the actual size that you'd need before I would know whether or not I have it in stock. Or
I'm planning to go with 1 3/4 if I can, instead of 1 3/8.
Oh, door thickness. Yeah, well, that's probably going to be required to mortise an automatic door bottom. I think you want to try to avoid it being surface mounted. Right.
That would be my objective. Now, what's the disadvantage of taking away more door material to mortise it in?
The more you take away, the less you're removing of the door. The thinner it becomes. Not that it's really.
Will that affect STC or not really in this case?
I think at some level it will, to have air there versus lumber or particle board, but not at a detectable level. In the door business, you want to remove as little of the door as possible.
For that Sargent example, and I'm familiar with them, just the locksmithing work that I did way back in high school. Do you have a ballpark? Is that a mortise latch system that would accept a mortise cylinder?
I'd have to look, but obviously we'd be thinking of a board or a tubular style latch. The 8 series is their knob. I have to look and see if those have the nylon inserts in the latch bolts. It could be their 10 or 11 line as well, which are cylindrical, but I think they're only levers in those two designs. But again, they're perfectly, they're absolutely commercial in nature. But, there's also, it doesn't come, a manufacturer doesn't come to mind, but I've seen strikes that have a nylon tip inserted in them as well to help deaden that a little bit. You know what you could do? Why don't you remove it altogether and get yourself, and I sell them, I'll just describe it and then I'll send you a link to it when I get your email. It is a magnet. You have the positive and negative ends of a pair of magnets. You can install the A part in the door anywhere you want and the B part in the frame anywhere you want. There's no latch. They have at least 10 pounds of holding pressure. And then you could put self-adhesive sponge-type dampeners on the face of the stop. And then all you're going to do is surface mount a couple of dummies. And now there's no mechanical hardware latching.
So I know exactly what you're describing, and that's been appealing to me when I was doing some research, but I'd still, in Miami and everything, would feel comfortable to have a sturdy deadbolt at night.
Well, yeah, I hear you. I would add a mortise bolt to it so that you have privacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bedroom. I doubt you'd need a key lock on a bedroom, but you could. But I would put a mortise bolt above my full dummy trim to give you the privacy.
I'd like, if I have folks over and I would put like my cats in one of the rooms or maybe in the bedroom, and if people are coming in and out and having a gathering of people, I just would want someone to open the door. So I'd want it lockable, and likely would go with the higher end. I don't know if you know Abloy Protect series, just because I'm more of a nerd when it comes to this.
Well, okay. So of all the people you'll speak to this decade, you just spoke to the one person who knows what a Protec is. I have one in my collection. Those rotating discs are just genius. Do you know where, ASA comes from?
Well, let's back it up a moment. So I don't know if you ever been out to Aloha, or do you follow any of this? Because
I'm a certified professional locksmith in Aloha. The only thing I'm not is a CML. I'm a CPL.
Do you know of the organization TOOL, TOOL, the Lock Sport Hobbyist Group?
So I'm aware, but I don't. I'm more of a door distributor, and I'm a CPL because it supports what I do, whether it be the science of generating biddings and being able to talk at length about all different platforms of high security cylinders. But I don't exercise. I don't exercise those muscles on a daily basis.
So I've been involved in the cybersecurity industry just kind of on the side. I work in telecom and mostly Internet of Things, like infrastructure for big, telcos like AT&T and Verizon. Work for Nokia. But on the side, I've always kept up to date with the cybersecurity stuff. So over many years, pre-pandemic, I would go out to DEF CON and volunteered with some of their workshops with the physical security stuff. So we have out in the Netherlands a bunch of people. It's many of them who work for us, Abloy Group. They meet up once a year and they have this world championship of lockpicking, impressioning, and safe decoding. And then we do one out usually in Washington State for the U.S. version. So I've been involved in this organization and attended events, and then some of the people that speak at these conferences. We've had a guy, Peter Fields, who's come out who's like a lock historian.
Stop. So I just had an article published just over a year ago in Keynotes about how I met Peter Field. Effing crazy how I met him. I will send you a link to that article because if you know Peter Field, you'll enjoy my story. Anyway, I was researching a paper, and William Link told me, you don't want to talk to me because I needed help. He's like, you want to talk to that guy. Well, I had no idea who that guy was. I'm sitting with this guy in this 20-year-old tweed jacket for 25 minutes as he's helping me with my key bidding array. 4 months later, I'm studying medical, and I pull out the guy's card. I'm like, holy shit. I'm reading the patent, and I'm looking at this guy's business card. I'm like, Peter Field, one of the two people who patented Medico 3. It was crazy. I had no idea. He's one of the most famous people in the world no one's ever heard of.
Right, exactly. And so he has, I don't think they're usually recorded, but I've had the honor of sitting in some of his presentations where he has a personal collection of intricate photography, and then someone will say, like, talk to me about the Fichet series, whatever, and then he'll pull up, he'll pull it up and he'll have cutaways and breakdowns, and he'll explain in depth how it works, and it's just so cool to be a part of that.
Very cool.
He's been out and spoken, and then we had the guy who has the YouTube channel, which is more pop culture lock stuff, but the lock picking lawyer came out, and he's a friend of mine. Yeah, so he's come out and spoken to us. And we had a guy named Tim Jenkin who escaped from Pretoria prison during apartheid and had an interesting story, and they made a movie about him with the actor from Harry Potter. So different luminaries have come and spoken at our events. So I have the ProTech tool too, just because it's cool.
Very cool.
For me. And MCS would be like another thing I'd maybe get someday on like a shed, just for the fun of it. But that's overkill. So I want to put a cylinder in there. My friend Mitch is the owner of Security Snobs, which is the main ProTech dealer for the U.S.
Yeah, I think I bought my ProTech from him, as far as I know.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, I'm in EWR. I'm in the Newark airport right now. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock, I'm having training on how to operate the key cutting machine for Multilock, because I just became a distributor for them in Southwest Florida.
Cool.
So I'm literally here, the guy's like, yeah, we'll do a Zoom. I'm like, no, I'm going to come up. And I want, cause the key cutter for that is, it's basically a CNC tool. I'm like, no, I'll come up. It's a cheap flight. We're going to go over it. So tomorrow morning I'm going to be in Hackensack with the guys at Multilock.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I used to work in Paramus for Verizon, and I'm very familiar with North Jersey area, and I grew up in Jersey. I've been down in Miami for 10 years, Boca, and so familiar with that world up there. And Multilock's incredibly popular in New York City.
Yeah, as it is in Little Naples as well. I mean, you walk around on Fifth, you see a horizontal keyway. I guarantee it's a silhouette of a man flexing his muscles. They're everywhere. And
that and Medico are very solid options for most businesses. But even at least years back, I would see folks, that knew what they were doing, not an average person off of YouTube, but who were bumping the highest security multi-lock options, even with the interactive component, and were successfully bumping them open and cutting bump keys for them. But it's still not a bad option, and very few folks that are using brute force would ever do anything with that level of sophistication.
Yeah, I mean, my size 10 shoe is the universal key, right? But again, it's, they're bumping those locks with something. And as you know, it's all about key control. If you can keep someone from getting the key blank, this key cutter, without the card, it will not even start. If you want me to duplicate your keys and it's not my keyway, it's somebody else's, can't even get the machine to turn on.
You can't do it, I think, because of the interactive element on the higher end ones. I don't think you can do it with an easy entry machine, can you?
No, yeah, exactly. So we're doing the MTL 800, which has the interactive. And what's really interesting about that, and all of locksmithing, which I've studied, and have you been to the Mossman collection in New York? At the Mechanics Society?
Oh, no, I thought you were going to say Lockmasters Institute in Kentucky, or in, I think it's...
No. But the Mossman collection at the Mechanics Society in Manhattan, it's got some stuff that's super cool. But it's interesting how the evolution of locksmithing has been taking a great idea and kind of just evolved it. If you look at Medico 4, there's nothing ingenious. That movable element that's in there, that's decades old. I think I don't remember who it was, but there was a lock from the 70s that had a movable element in it. I just don't remember who it was.
But upon that patent expiration, I've heard some of these have moved backwards in their security because they just need to change something to reissue the patent.
Yeah,
and sometimes go backwards based on
when you've got to be backwards compatible, you're limited. But it also doesn't it occur to you that the people conjuring these ideas, they're some of the most brightest people of all time. It's just It's just
know
the mind of Peter Field to think that up.
It's incredible. Do you know of a guy named Han Fei who's written white papers? He now works for ASA.
I have read the two that I've come into contact with, helping me prepare for the PRPs at Aloha. It may have been ProTech or whatever he was, or ASA. I'm not sure which product it was.
Yeah.
I think it may have been ProTech.
Han's a friend of mine from like 10, almost 15 years now through the lock sport community, and we were out camping in the Netherlands, and we would do the Dutch Open out there. And then the other guy who's less involved now, who's doing some government consulting work, is Barry Wells, and he's also involved with some of this stuff. A lot of these people from the Netherlands, but each year the competitions are almost always won by the picking is almost always won by the Germans, as well as the safe cracking. And then impressioning is usually taken by the Dutch. They typically win the impressioning contest.
Well, if you'll tell him that he set a very high bar with those white papers that he's written, and while there's not a lot of ProTech on the Aloha, exams, the 25-question exams, because it's not medical, it's not North American necessarily. I found his work extremely enlightening. So if you'll say, hey, some random guy I talked to says, thank you very much, I would appreciate that. Well,
depending on what your travel appetite is, I don't know if they're doing one this year, but they have, usually in October, is the LockFest organization, or LockCon, rather, is the big one overseas. We're not doing a LockFest this year. We may next year. It's invite only, but I can certainly connect you with folks and get you able to go to that. And it's relatively affordable because these are just people paying on their own dime. It's usually most people aren't covering it for work. But if ever you're interested, you can reply to my email and I can find the info on that, where a lot of these folks will go. Peter's usually there as well.
Yeah, I would enjoy that very much. I need a reason. I'm thinking about going to England to meet the door bottom guy that's over there because I'm trying to become his North American distributor. And there's a lock museum in London that I'm going to go see because, why wouldn't you? So.
Yes, of course. Now, I don't know which years happen, and then also post-pandemic, I don't know, but every couple of years, or maybe it's every other year, is the Essen Security Conference. I think that's in Germany, and that's a big one. So usually they'll try to combine LockCon with Essen so that people can go and hit both of them, and a bunch of the hobbyists and industry folks will get together and walk the show floor there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, send me that email and I'll reply back with a link to the thing I'm talking about and, a cut sheet.
Okay.
The magnetic holder that I'm talking. It's like a touch latch with no touch. And at least you'll see it and, maybe something. I'll look into it.
At least I would have that as an option, yeah. Now, if I, just doors themselves, do you have any tips? And if we need to pick this conversation up another time if you're running towards the flight, but for solid wood doors and, optimal STC and all that, is birch a good way to go? And, and is the core term that I'm using is, because I bought a quote solid door from Home Depot and I'm sure it was just a masonite and I didn't realize. I put one of those on out of the 10 I'm trying to do. Do you have any tips on selecting that? Is that something I could order through you?
I think a standard builder's quality solid particle board core door is going to give you at least as good STC, sound attenuation based on the gasketing that you're going to put on than anything else. Because as you may have found out, you can use the best stuff that's kind of available within a reasonable budget, or you have to go to true STC assemblies, and now you're talking an order of magnitude more expensive, where everything has been tested and has been achieved a rating. So there's a chart that I have that I'll send you to Reese, and they have a table showing their products and what the STC rating is when a common particle board door is just caulked shut, so you can see how it compares.
Gotcha.
But short of getting into taking two of those doors and laminating them together or contacting people who specialize in STC, you're trying to do the best you can without this becoming, the symphony orchestra sort of engineering that has to happen for sound.
No, I want to get, so maybe I get to 95% and then the rest is deeply diminishing returns. So,
yeah, exactly.
Let me grab, what is your email, Rich?
Yeah, sure. Come straight to me. It's sales, S-A-L-E-S,
Yep.
at A as in architectural, B as in builders, supply, S-U-P-P-L-Y.
Okay, absupply.net is same as your URL?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay,
I'll try to put that together today or tomorrow, and I look forward to continuing the conversation. I appreciate the tips. We definitely have more geeking out about locks to do, and I could send you some links that you might find interesting.
I would like that, sir. I don't, like I said, I don't flex them on a daily basis, but it supports what I overall do. So thank you very much for the conversation.
I just love, if I haven't, picked a lock in 2 years, but then I meet up with some of these folks that go in this level of depth in their care. And we did do a meeting years back at Lockmasters, and Lockmasters Security Institute in Kentucky.
Oh yeah, I've bought some GSA locks from them at some point earlier this year.
They do a lot. It's like 90% of their work, I think, is government and the container certifiers and all that for that. But they had a pretty cool collection, some training rooms, and it's just funny because it was the crossover we witnessed from industry people to the hobbyists, and they both came together. So the first day they're a little bit just removed, but we paid our tuition and everything, or whatever we needed to do to come on site and rent the space out. But then by day 2, day 3, this guy has all of their employees sitting at the table competing, like, come on, you guys can do this. Put one on the board for us. And it was just, everybody had really bonded by the end of that weekend. It was great.
Yeah, no, I know it's a great community. It really is. A lot
By the way, do you know Toby Blusmanis, who's the Mark Weber Tobias, his lock safety and security?
I definitely have that 2-volume behemoth that I have read almost
Toby
every
works
page.
with him. Toby is worked with him on different projects. I've not seen Mark at the conferences for a couple of years now. I don't know if you'd know my name. Toby's down here in Miami, and he has some stuff that he works on. So if ever you make it over to Miami, I think you'd enjoy a lunch with him, and I could connect you folks. He's just a pleasant fellow that's done different security research stuff and worked with Mark Weber Tobias, but he's lived down here for decades.
That'd be great. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that we got to connect on this next level. I really appreciate you taking my call, Rich. I'll shoot you that email, and I look forward to talking further.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Smooth travels.
You too. Bye-bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. In this prior conversation that you've listened to, I wanted to add on in terms of what the latch bolt was that I was speaking about, and not a single manufacturer comes to mind, but I know that I have seen them, and where I'm pretty sure my memory tells me that I've seen them is on a Sargent lock. So the 8-line, I think it was a grade 1 knob, has been discontinued. I'm pretty sure it's a grade 1. It was grade 1. And I don't know that I have an older catalog that would show Sargent 8-line. The current catalog I have is the 8X line. Well, here's a Sargent product catalog from 2009. Let's take a look. And that catalog did load, and I did a find function on my keyboard for 8-line. And yeah, they don't show that nylon insert. And frankly, without contacting the factory and asking more about a history of the 8-line, and it could be the 8-line latch is available as an alternate option with that nylon insert, if my memory serves me. Yeah, so the 2009 catalog doesn't show it necessarily, but there is, yeah, I'm not having a lot of luck here. There's a catalog from 1972 here, which is very likely the vintage of the lock that my client has, or that I'm thinking of. I'm going to pause this video because this is a very large file. Yeah, we've definitely had some success here. Let's get to, yeah, right here. This item called the Magna lock had a nylon insert that you can see here. Let's risk one more page. Yeah. Nylon insert there. So I am not very strong with knowing the history of Sargent locks. Collecting old catalogs is a hobby, quite frankly. You can see it referred to here. So jumping forward, I just went to eBay, and I can see that there's an 8-line lock here. And you can see that there's a reference to that nylon insert. So that's what I was talking about. I've also seen T-strikes from manufacturers. Here happens to be a partial image of an inserted button right in the lip, and all of that is definitely there. It all conspires to reduce the amount of sound that you hear when that latch is making contact. It's not, I don't think, something that a door distributor thinks about often in terms of the sound that something gives off, and I really think that needs to come from someone outside of the industry to be able to point that out, because I don't think most of us think about it. Here's a great picture of it. Yeah, that's it. Right there. I can't think of a purpose of that other than sound. Obviously, also, this metal being what they call self-lubricating, it's definitely going to be reducing friction. That nylon may have been more conducive to getting the lock to latch in an unusual angle. Maybe the strike is, or the door is not perfectly perpendicular in the frame. I don't know, but sound is what I'd always believed it to be. That's it. Thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.